Hello everyone, big news in Ireland today was the release of Enoch Burke from Mountjoy prison. Enoch Burke has served over 530 days in prison, has been subject to 41 High Court orders and has been imprisoned for contempt of court. He hasn't been guilty of any criminal offence, and this has caused great issues in the Irish judiciary, as not to mention Irish society as a whole, how to address the Enoch Burke issue. Now, Enoch Burke, as I said, was a teacher in Wilson School. He actually still is a teacher on the full pay, suspended from Wilson School because of his refusal to use they, them pronouns for a student. Now, as I said, there's been no criminal offence taken, and this has been just seen as contempt of court. So this has created huge issues, as I said, for the Irish legal system and Irish society as a whole in terms of addressing this, because Enoch Burke has made strong contentions for his religious beliefs, his freedom of expression, and many more constitutional rights as well. But we know in Ireland there's supposed to be a separation of powers, but unfortunately there isn't, when you think so many of the judiciary are political appointees and they do the politicians and the political classes bidding every day of the week. We've seen that happen for years and years in the Irish judiciary. But it's important, even under the separation of powers, they have judicial prowess over the Constitution. Judiciary can judge on the constitutionality of various elements of the Irish Constitution and of legislation that's invested in the government of the day and the powers that's vested in them to enact legislation. They can refuse it or reject it on the basis of its constitutionality. But in terms of dealing with the civil contempt of court, it's created huge issues for the Irish judicial system. Now, Enoch Burke, as he has served over 530 days for not complying with the contempt of court order to stay away from Wilson School. Currently, the fines are up to €193,000 are owed in fines, €700 per day. And the judge, when releasing him today, said he would have to pay €1,400 per day if he actually breaches the order by the High Court. Perhaps that'll happen in the new year. Now, despite what people might think, or whatever people's views are of Enoch Burke or his position, he's fully entitled to his viewpoints, he's fully entitled to his religious beliefs, and he's fully entitled to express them in a proper manner. But the issue that I've seen in Irish society is that it's created so much division around this. And if you look at the facts based on the imprisonment of somebody for no criminal offence, you really have to ask what the judiciary are up to and whose bidding are they doing. Is it the political classes, or is it just... But around this, there are issues raised around why doesn't he purge his contempt and he could just get on with his life without creating an issue because of his beliefs that he shouldn't be addressing anybody by certain pronouns. Now, this is nonsense in my point of view, because we've seen many times before in Irish society, such as the water charge protesters not purging contempt, but they were released from court in terms of exclusion zones for the contractors for Irish water. Of course, those contractors work for Dennis O'Brien, billionaire Dennis O'Brien. Who does the political system represent? The billionaires of society, such as Dennis O'Brien. And you can look back at my previous video with his connections with the new kingmaker in the Irish government, Michael Lowry. Now, also, the issues around the right to protest should be sacrosanct, but again, they're conditional in Irish society, depending on the government of the day and if they uphold the principles of what the right to protest or peaceful assembly is. But they shouldn't be conditional on the government of the day. They're absolute rights, and that's what they should be construed as, much the same as your right to protest and peaceful assembly should be sacrosanct as a basic democratic and constitutional republican right. Now, also, other people might talk about civil disobedience. Now, this is an issue that has always been risen in society, where power has never ceded anything without a struggle. So in terms of standing up for civil disobedience, it is important to stand up on principles. We've seen that happen time and time again in Irish society and internationally as well, where civil disobedience works when the law is a complete and utter injustice. We've seen that around evictions, we've seen that around more horrors in society. So I think from a rational standpoint, this raises dramatic and very far-reaching issues in Irish society. It's about time, over the next period of time, people sat down, had frank and open discussions about what was happening in Irish society. people have open points of view. Whatever your point of view is, lay it out on the table and have those debates, rather than jumping on one side versus the other and attack, whether you're fixed up on one ideology versus the next. It's important that people have a tolerant society, but it's also important that you uphold the rights of people and not imprison people for not committing a criminal offence, which creates a lot of issues in Irish life going forward. But it's very important that we uphold and support anybody with religious points of view as well. And now these are big issues in Irish society that should be discussed over the next period of time, rather than demonising or vilification or persecution of individuals. And this is what's gone on over the last number of years, specifically seeing it around this issue, rather than dealing with the underlying issue about your basic rights in society and what way society is being driven along by an agenda that's outside the control of ordinary people here in Ireland. And it shows the dramatic democratic deficit that's at play in Irish society as well, and currently in terms of all these issues. So it's very important to note, have the grown-up proper discussions around what's going on, and stop this vilification, stop the nonsense, stop the charade when it comes back in the new year again. So thanks for all the support on my videos. Please press subscribe. Take care. Slán.